Glossophobia, or the fear of public speaking, you will be surprised to know, affects up to 75% of the population. Just in case you are anxious about placing your views in a forum, worry not, as this is just the session for you. Discussion is an exchange of knowledge, an argument, an exchange of ignorance, as famously said by Robert Killen. Ladies and gentlemen, lead that group discussion is what we will be dealing in today. I am Grace Arun, and this is on the platform of Acelot Academy. So what really are the key learning objectives of this module? Let's try and understand. One is to enhance confidence to face a group discussion. How do we focus on effective communication? Enhance the quality of language. Improve listening skills. Showcase an assertive attitude. Improve paraphrasing skills. Strengthen leadership skills. What would be the relevance of the session? Understand purpose of group discussion and evaluate steps involved in the preparation. Understand the success factors involved. Augment one's skill sets for group discussion. Enhance one's leadership abilities and capabilities. Use relevant body language techniques to your advantage. Use the power of effective verbal communication. So when you're looking at the role of verbal communication in a group discussion kind of scenario, I'm sure you know that it is going to be really high up there. So let's try and understand the do's and don'ts of a group discussion right at the start. What really is the agenda that we have here? Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seat belts, sit back and soak up the essence of the session, which will last for close to an hour, filled with exciting facts and illustrations. So, like we do at the beginning of any large activity, there is always planning and preparation for self. And here we recommend the SWOT technique, the SWOT analysis, which is understanding of self using SWOT. SWOT analysis is a planning tool used to understand the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats faced by an individual. To do a SWOT analysis which is effective and meaningful, one has to be patient, open-minded, and analytical of oneself without any bias. So when we look at the concept of planning and preparation using SWOT, we will have to go into each of the elements of SWOT, starting with S, which stands for strengths. What advantages do you have that others don't have? For example, skills, knowledge, certifications, education, networking, etc. What all can you do or you do better than others? What all do others see and accept as your strengths? What are your achievements that you are proud of? What all qualities do you possess that others fail to exhibit? So these would clearly fall into the range of your strengths. Now let's look at the list of weaknesses or the areas where you probably are trailing. Which are the tasks you usually avoid because you don't feel confident or comfortable doing them? What are your weakness and development areas that are pointed out by people around you? How confident are you about your education, skills and competencies? Which are the areas you want to develop? What are your negative habits? Are you often late? Do you get short-tempered? How good are you at handling stress? What are the personality traits that hold you back in your field? A fear of public speaking, poor etiquette, so on and so forth. Listing the opportunities. What are the areas within you that, if corrected, can give you far greater success? Do you have a network of strategic contacts to help you or offer right advice? Are others failing to do something important? If so, can you take advantage of their lapses? And finally, threats. What all hindrances do you currently face in overcoming your weakness? Consider all those who are competing with you. Is your world or the demand for the things you do changing and evolving constantly? If so, are you getting geared up and ready for the same? Does changing technology, changing demand for skill sets needed, or social changes and changing perception, general or specific, threaten your position? Is any of your weakness leading you to threats? So once you're able to understand yourself very clearly from the perspective self-analysis using the SWOT tool, it will help you get that much more clarity in terms of which are the areas that you are strong and which are the areas that you need to actually further develop upon, so that you are better poised and in a position to be a winner at any platform that you desire. So coming to the topic for today, what is group discussion? It is normally conducted a group of 8 to 15 people. The group is given a topic and asked to discuss on that topic. The topic can be a specific situation where the students have to analyze and discuss within a certain set given timeline. A panel will observe the team, and the best part is they evaluate the members of the group based on a whole lot of predefined parameters. One needs to know what one's objective in the group is, to be noticed by the panel and to contribute meaningfully in an attempt to help the group reach the right consensus. Please know that group discussion is where you are part of the team and it is not about you. It is not about the individual. So what is the purpose of a group discussion? Why does one get himself or herself enrolled in a group discussion? Or why do organizations, companies, interview panels have group discussion as one of the screening rounds? The purpose is to bring out interpersonal skills. This is how the candidates interact with and support each other and showcase their team spirit and their leadership abilities. You understand the clarity of thought, power of logical reasoning, and a creative approach. Effective communication and presentation style also comes to the fore, because in a group discussion, it's all about you putting your point across. Comprehension of core issues. What is your general awareness? What is the knowledge you have of current affairs? And how well are you able to articulate each of those points in front of the panel? Capability to cope with the dynamics of a situation, including the limited time available. So each of these things is what is taken care of when it comes to the purpose. The purpose is also to bring out how open you are. How is your listening skill? Because unless you listen in a group discussion, you will very often be on a different tangent. So listening skill is of great importance. How you put forward your views. Are you bulldozing your way through the entire discussion, or are you polite and courteous? Problem solving and critical thinking skill. This again is of great importance and is showcased very well during the group discussion. Your attitude and confidence. So you would now like to know, what is it that gets assessed during a group discussion? Leadership, convincing capacity, knowledge of course, time management, logical reasoning, self-confidence, diplomacy, knowledge, assertiveness, communication skills, team spirit, presence of mind, attitude, rationality, empathy, respect for others. Imagine, it may seem like a simple conversation, but there is a host of traits that is being judged and evaluated when it comes to a group discussion. So when we look at group discussions, there are two main aspects that we generally focus upon. The two main aspects of a group discussion include: one, the content, the subject matter of discussion, and the second part relates to the process, how the subject matter is being discussed and presented. Having heard so much, I'm sure you understand that therefore the group discussion is not something that you can just walk into and sit for. It needs a great deal of preparation. So what are some of the things you should do when it comes to preparation? Take some mock group discussion opportunities. Try and do as many mock sessions as possible so that you're in a position to actually do well when it comes to the final. Listen carefully to others. Listen, be it to the other people who are participating in the group discussion, or listen to the feedback that you get while you are presenting a mock GD in front of someone else. Speak sensibly, especially on debatable topics, because this is not a debate. Don't debate. However, try to arrive at a consensus. Have a positive attitude. Look at the issues from a positive perspective and as to how you can arrive at a positive result. We are not here to show one-upmanship. Make sure to bring the discussion back on track if it strays. Very often what one sees is that the discussion tends to go off on a tangent and veers far away from the original topic. So if you are in a position to bring it back on track, it is actually kudos to you and a point in your direction. Try and initiate the group discussion whenever possible, and try to end it in terms of conclusion, because both of these also showcase you as one of the better speakers in the forum. Allow others to speak. It is not just enough that you speak alone. It is, after all, team play. Maintain a positive body language. Keep eye contact with all the members of the group discussion while speaking. So what would be the success factors? How is it that I know that I have done well when it comes to a group discussion? First and foremost, the quality of the content. What you say and how you say what you say. It is a matter of knowing what is it, the essence of the discussion, and that becomes absolutely of great importance. Comprehension of core ideas and issues. You should know what the point of discussion is all about and speak to the topic. There is no point in veering away from the basic topic. Logical reasoning and communication skills. This is but of course of absolute great paramount importance, because unless you are able to logically analyze the factors to be discussed and communicate them appropriately, there is absolutely no meaning. And clarity of thought. You may have the matter with you, you may have the communication skill, but your mind is muddled and therefore you are not in a position to organize it in a meaningful sequence. Body language, eye contact, and good diction. All of these are of absolute importance. When we look at the skill sets required, when you know that this is something which is slightly complex and needs a great amount of preparation, it is quite natural that it will also require a good amount of skills. Building analytical and conceptual skills to quickly get to the core issue of the topic. This is one of the most important factors that will help you play this game well. Listening skills, paying great attention to what the others are saying, because when you're looking at listening skills, it is absolutely something which is important in you trying to understand where the conversation is going and what it is that you need to respond to. A good vocabulary and diction of English in most cases. It can also be occasionally in regional languages. However, you need to have a rich vocabulary in the language of group discussion. Public speaking practice. Any amount of practice on any platform, be it in front of a mirror or in front of a mock group, in terms of public speaking will greatly help. Obviously, good interpersonal skills and behavior helps because this is ultimately team play, and you need to have your power of logic, logical reasoning and presentation. Listening skills. It is very important that one pays attention to what the others are saying, simply because in a group discussion you will often need to be responding to the pointers which are shared by the rest of the team members. Good vocabulary and diction of English in most cases, because there are certain instances where you would also be speaking in regional languages. But whatever be the case, it is very important that you have good vocabulary in the language that you are appearing for the group discussion. Public speaking practice is very important simply because this is not something that you can just arrive for overnight and try and do a good game of a public speaking or a group discussion option. This is something that needs a good amount of practice. So please ensure you practice. Good interpersonal behavior is again very important because, like we said, this is team play and you are one of the members of the team. Power of logical reasoning and presentation is also of absolute importance, because in a group discussion what you are ultimately doing is presenting the points that you have to the panel and the rest of the group. So we would like to now see how to become or be an impactful member of a group discussion group. How to show your leadership skills is a very important part of being an impactful member of that group discussion. Be as natural as possible and don't try to be someone you are not. It is important to stay authentic. Try to make an impactful opening and a powerful close. Like I mentioned earlier, the person who makes the impactful opening and the one who tries to summarize the points shared by the entire group in the form of a powerful close is someone who stands to gain a lot in the group discussion, because he will make his or her presence very, very prominent by doing either of these acts. Maintain eye contact with all the members of the panel. Seek clarifications if you have any doubts. It is better to be clear than speak on something which you have absolutely no clue about. Body language plays a very vital role, because in communication, as you know, the verbal element is just a mere 7% and the non-verbal element is the balance 93%. So you need to ensure that you have very good body language as well. Always maintain a very positive gesture and a positive attitude in front of the rest of the group. Help the group to participate actively. It is once again to be reminded and remembered that it is not a me game. It is not about you. You are part of the team and it is about your entire team functioning well. In case you have a different point of view, you can disagree, but please disagree politely. It is very important that you maintain all basic politeness when you want to put across your point against what someone in the team has already spoken. Listen to others' points as well. This is absolutely important because it will help you develop on their points, and that becomes an added bonus when it comes to the group discussion, and this will also help you to know the topic better for yourself. Make short contributions, short spurts of 25 to 30 seconds 3 to 4 times. It is better to make your presence felt repeatedly in bursts rather than hijacking an entire large chunk of the duration. Respect others' contributions too. Very often, when one gets carried away in the flow of a group discussion, you end up making expressions that are not very flattering. You may ridicule some of your other team members, all because of the hype and that fever that you're in. But it is important to remember that every member's contribution is important and you must respect all of that. Initiation of a group discussion, like I mentioned some time back, is absolutely important. And there are certain criteria that one needs to be watchful about when it comes to initiating a group discussion. So, how do you initiate a group discussion? The first thing obviously that you do is you speak first and invite the others to speak. When you speak first, you need to take the onus to address the entire group and give a greeting which is relevant to that particular time and open the entire group discussion. When you let the other people speak, you also allow them to share their perspective. Share some of the latest facts, latest information, latest ideas, quotations, definitions. The more meatier and weightier you make the entire contribution, that much more of a score you stand to gain. Something you should never do is never share personal information, and don't talk about anything personal in a group discussion. Don't take the GD to a personal discussion level. You have to be assertive. Many a times what happens is, for you to be able to find your way to make that opening and to be the first one to be a good speaker on that platform, you have to be assertive and you have to definitely take chances. In case you feel that what will others think of me, or will I be saying the right statement, and such negative thoughts, you've lost out already. So you have to take your chances and make the group discussion participants feel like they are also part of the entire forum. When it comes to taking chances, there are many occasions where a lot of the participants at the end of the entire group discussion complain that they did not get a chance to speak. The only one to blame is you. Conclusion and summarization, while it is not a part of the initiation really, is a very good way to show a lot of things about you. It clearly gives you an edge over the rest because you have been able to remember. It shows that your listening skills are really at the top. You are able to remember each of the important points that were shared. You are able to put them in a good order and share it at the end of the entire group discussion with the entire group, and that is definitely something which is going to get you a lot of good points as well. The key criteria to be watchful about in terms of continuity, because as you know, in a group discussion it is very important that you have a continuous flow of information. What to do if all your ideas have been spoken? That is one of the biggest fears that people have, because in the flow of the group discussion, while everyone is trying to contribute with their ideas, you may just realize that what you had in mind has already been spoken. So what do? Speak something different from what others have spoken, and for that you should have had a whole amount of information ready with you in the form of general knowledge and various topics from current affairs. And you should be in a position to relate that to the topic that is being discussed. And the other option is, you can expand or synthesize and analyze their ideas. Here, it is very important that you don't make it look like you have hijacked someone else's point, but very gracefully add on to what someone has said with a different perspective or an additional view to what has already been shared. Write down your points when you get to the topic of the group discussion, so that when it comes to either the time of summarization or when it comes to a time where you need to contribute a point where you realize that no one else has anything to contribute, this will come in handy. Try to add further points when others are speaking, and you may want to also add further points when you realize that others are not speaking. When you speak, however, you may also mention about your observations on what others have spoken. Quote latest data, facts and information. Always stick to facts and figures. Now we come to the role of communication skills. Communication skills in an interview process or in a group discussion, as everyone knows, has its weight in gold. And effective communication is a vital key to a successful group discussion. Remember, you're not the only one speaking in the group discussion. There are other participants as well who are vying for that limelight. You might get only a single chance, and you just can't afford to miss the opportunity to create the first impression. And as they say, first impression is the last impression. An individual might have complete knowledge about the topic assigned to his group and might be well aware of what is happening around him. But if he is not able to effectively communicate his ideas to the others, he will fail to create his mark, and his opportunity to be in the spotlight is gone. The way an individual communicates his ideas has to be very impressive for him to live up to the expectations of the deciding authorities, because ultimately in a group discussion it is all about having the content and sharing the content in the appropriate way and manner. So communication is something that you need to really focus upon when it comes to group discussion. Let us now look at some do's and don'ts. So when we look at group discussion, there are a lot of rules and there are a lot of do's and don'ts. So when we're looking at the do's of a group discussion, let us look at certain points. In most cases, it suffices to mention your name, institution and academic stream, because the introduction is something that will be made by all the members in the group, and you are not expected to hog too much of the time given. Take your seat as directed by the interviewer and sit attentively. You cannot go in there and stroll all over the place at your convenience. Sometimes predefined positions are given and you need to follow that. Listen carefully to the topic being proposed for discussion. In case you were left inattentive or talking to someone at that time, it's going to be your loss. You may ask for it to be repeated one odd time, but then that is ideally not recommended. If you need clarification, however, please do ask for repetition. Carry a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen to note down the theme and make talking points for yourself. This again is part of the planning when it comes to group discussion, for you to be able to give valuable inputs. Make a note of only those points which you would like to build your discussions on. There is no point in randomly noting down all kinds of matter, because it would totally clutter your thinking and lead to confusion. So it is any day better that you have specific points that you jot down. When it comes to the do's of a group discussion again, conceptualize your approach and ideas by jotting down the few points which we just mentioned. Once ready, take the lead to speak first, provided that no other candidate has already begun talking. It is most rude and unprofessional if you butt in with someone else who's already begun or already initiated the conversation. If you get the chance to begin first, start by saying, May I start with the permission of the chair and the group, please, and then continue. That is a very professional and a very chivalrous way to begin the group discussion. Be brief and analytical in whatever you say. There does not have to be long rambling sentences because that will in no way result in a good situation for you. Be brief and analytical in everything that you say. During the discussion, address your group members, making eye contact with all of them. It is very important for each and every member in the group to get a feeling that you are part of the team and that all of you are here with a common agenda. It is recommended that it is best to speak for a short while at first and then take the opportunity later to add some critical points after a few others have spoken. That way, you will be able to space yourself out and you will be able to give yourself visibility in spurts rather than at one long stretch. Allow others to speak without any interruption. When someone else is speaking, no matter what be the content or the style of communication, it is that individual's time. Do not butt in and allow that person to speak without any kind of interruption. Try to exhibit your leadership quality by taking the lead in settling a point under discussion and that is being disputed by others. Please know that it is very interesting to note that in a group discussion scenario, everyone is flying at high tempers where discussions become debates and debates become arguments simply because one is in a position to actually put their point across at any cost. Here is where the skill comes in, where you use your leadership abilities to group everyone's thoughts and ideas together and bring everything that is being disputed to a common point. Exhibit your team spirit by cooperating with the others during the discussion. Very often when there is a conflicting point of views between a couple of people and sometimes even in a group, it really helps if you are that soothing balm who can actually help bring some kind of solution to that entire bad discussion. Be ready to summarize the main discussed points, and if you have made a note of it earlier on in your own words, that would be really amazing. Now, just as we have the do's for a group discussion, it is quite natural that there would be don'ts. So, what are some of the don'ts? First of all, it starts with body language. Don't lean on the table, don't put your chin and your face in your hands. Sit straight and comfortably look up at each other, maintaining eye contact. Avoid talking or whispering amongst yourselves. There will be great temptation, especially after the interviewer has started introducing the topic. You are so excited that you want to quickly start gathering points or quickly start trying to understand how you can be the one to initiate. But that does not warrant talking in between the group. Don't repeat exactly what another candidate has already said just because you have nothing to say. It becomes absolutely a cause of concern when you do that, simply because it does not help that another candidate has already spoken something and you are repeating exactly that. Don't remain silent for very long either, because that is definitely not helping the case. In a group discussion, you are expected to be talking. Some of the further don'ts: don't start with any argumentative statement. In the attempt to get the spotlight on yourself, sometimes people try to start with highly argumentative points, discussions that can become heated arguments. A group discussion is not meant for an argument. It is actually a discussion where people come together on a common platform and arrive at a common consensus, where everyone showcases their thoughts and shares their point of view. A very important point is don't cut short or interrupt anyone when they are discussing their point. And you do this so that you can enter into the discussion. This is one of the worst things to do, and it really showcases poor team play. Don't simply say, "I agree with him," and just leave it at that. You must, even if you agree with someone, have something individual that you must speak about based on your own thoughts and views. Don't try to dominate the discussion by intervening in everyone's discussion or by taking too long to speak or take in too frequent opportunities to butt into a conversation. Each of these things really does not showcase you as a good player when it comes to group discussions. Continuing with the don'ts, don't stray away from the core issue. You have a core topic, remember, you are expected to speak on that. Don't make any personal attack or remark. Remember, this is a team game. Very often, when you're caught up in that entire fray of a group discussion, you may end up criticizing a member of your team. Please avoid that. Don't try to add any new point of your own during summarizing. Very often, in case you are the one who has taken the opportunity to summarize, you may all of a sudden want to showcase your one-upmanship by trying to put across a new point of your own. That is not appreciated. In fact, it goes against you. Don't show any sign of indifference during the discussion and be enthusiastic all through the discussion. It is very important that you give a positive presence all through. Avoid controversial ideas and topics at any cost because it is not appreciated in a very professional discussion such as a group discussion. Listening skills need to be really augmented when it comes to a group discussion because a lot revolves around what the other person is speaking. So listening in a group discussion helps to give new ideas. Listening helps to not jump to conclusions, and good listening will avoid aggression because you know what the other person is saying. Listening will help learn something new, and listening in a group motivates the environment. Everyone feels good when the other person is listening to you. Good listening skills in a group discussion can help you notice flaws, what the other speaker has said, and listening will help you comprehend what the other team member speaks, even if the topic is not well known. Listening keeps you aware and alert, and if you listen, teammates in the group will listen to you. So the importance of listening skills, as you can see, is absolutely very high. Another technique that you need to use when it comes to a good group discussion is working on paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is about read and make notes in terms of the content that has been discussed. Carefully read the text and then know what you want to prepare in terms of the paraphrase. Find different alternatives of terms that you can use when it comes to paraphrasing. Put the text into your own words and check your work. Get a general idea of the original, check your understanding, make notes and write your summary. It helps that you make notes, write your own summary because, as you know, the summary will come in handy even when you are in a position to summarize the entire group discussion. So ultimately, after all this, I'm sure you would like to know what is the criteria for selection. The person who expresses his ideas very well. Obviously, it is to do with the content that you have and how well you have been expressing your points of view. The person with a very sound justification and someone who demonstrates keenness and interest in the entire discussion. It does not help if you keep quiet and look bored. The person who has sufficient knowledge of the subject and is able to convince the others. The person who applies a logic and systematic approach. The person who has a positive attitude and is also assertive at the same time. And most importantly, the one who has the tendency to cooperate and the one who coordinates with the rest of the group. So if you are able to do all this and get all this right, chances are very high that you will stand at a very high point in terms of the ranking in the group discussion. I would like to share with you some popular topics that you can practice, because this is something which really improves with practice. So some of the topics that I would like to share with you in terms of practice for group discussion are COVID-19 and the relevance of the disease. Number 2, e-learning, pros and cons or pros and challenges. 3, post-COVID world. How would it be and what is your view? Number 4, metaverse. Number 5, the future of work, considering the various situations you have of work from home and hybrid. Number 6, net zero. Number 7, impact of COVID-19 on the global economy. Number 8, caste census, pros and cons. Number 9, disaster management in India. Number 10, work from home, pros and cons. Number 11, biomedical waste, what is the consequence and what are the various issues that can emerge out of that. And the final topic that I thought would be of interest to you is India ready for 5G? These are just a list of very popular topics which are relevant for today. However, it is up to you to take a host of topics and ensure that you are well prepared for any opportunity that comes across you for a group discussion. Therefore, before we move on, it's time to do a quick recap of this very interesting and important module. We began at the start with planning and preparation, which involved the technique of SWOT analysis. And if you recall, we spoke about the understanding of oneself using SWOT as a tool, where SWOT stood for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats faced by an individual. To do a SWOT analysis which is effective and meaningful, one has to ensure that he is patient, open-minded, analytical of oneself and without any bias at all. Across each of the quadrants of strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats, if you are able to actually sit and put down your views and thoughts with a lot of consideration on who you are as an individual, this will give you a lot of impetus in understanding yourself that much better and thereby preparing you that much stronger for any endeavor that you would have to take on. Then we went on to discuss what really is a group discussion. We went on to discuss what is a group discussion. It is conducted among a group consisting of 8 to 15 people. The topic can be a specific situation where the students have to analyze and discuss within a given time limit. A panel will observe the team and evaluate the members of the group on predefined parameters. What really was the purpose of a group discussion? So the purpose is to bring out interpersonal skills. How do the candidates interact with each other and support each other? Their team spirit and their leadership qualities, all of this gets observed. Clarity of thought, power of logical reasoning and creative approach, effective communication and presentation style, comprehension of core issues, capability to cope with the dynamics of a situation, including the limited time available. The purpose is also to bring out how open you are as an individual, your listening skills. This is put to the ultimate test. How do you put forward your views? Are you someone who's hijacking the entire conversation and not allowing any of the other participants to put in a word, or are you considerate? Problem solving and critical thinking skills. So, what is it that is assessed? A whole host of techniques that is being observed and monitored by the entire panel, such as leadership, convincing capacity, knowledge, time management, logical reasoning, self-confidence, diplomacy, knowledge, assertiveness, communication skills, team spirit, presence of mind, attitude, rationality, empathy, respect for others, and much, much more. We also went on to discuss the two main aspects of a group discussion, which were content, the subject matter of discussion, and the process, how the subject matter was being discussed and presented. In terms of the preparation for group discussion, this being a very important part of any interview process, requires a great amount of preparation. How do you make mock GDs? How do you ensure that you have group discussions that you present in front of others, where you also listen carefully to others? How do you speak sensibly, especially on debatable topics, because that is where you have a huge tendency to get into an argument and debate. A group discussion is not a debate. You have to always try to arrive at a consensus. Positive attitude. How do you look at issues from a positive perspective? You can always view a glass half empty or half full. It's your call. Try and be the one who can bring the discussion back on track if it strays. Initiate the group discussion and also try to conclude it at the end. Definitely allow others to speak and maintain a very positive body language, including eye contact and smiling while speaking as much as possible. So, what are some of the success factors when it comes to a group discussion? Quite naturally, the quality of content, what you say and how you say it, has a very large role to play when it comes to success factors. Comprehension of core ideas and issues. How much do you understand the essence of what is being discussed? Logical reasoning and communication skills. Clarity of thought. That is absolutely important, because just speaking for the heck of speaking just does not help. It's a matter of how you are able to summarize and put across your thoughts and views in a sensible fashion. And of course, body language in terms of eye contact and very good diction. You also need a whole lot of skills when it comes to group discussion. So, focus on building analytical and conceptual skills to quickly get to the core issue of the topic. Listening skills are very important. Good vocabulary and diction of English in most cases is very important. Please practice public speaking, because this does not come at the spur of the moment. It requires practice. Good interpersonal behavior really helps, and the power of logical reasoning and presentation. So, how does one become an impactful member? How do you show your leadership skills? Be as natural as possible. Try to make impactful openings and powerful close. Maintain eye contact. Seek clarifications if you have any doubts. Body language, very important. Help the group to participate actively. If you have to disagree, it's perfectly fine, but please be polite. Listen to others' points. This will also help you be in a better position to answer well from your end as well, and respect others' contribution. One of the important parts of a group discussion is how to initiate in a group discussion. Try and speak first. Invite all others to speak and share their perspectives. Share some of these important points: facts, latest information, latest ideas, etc. Don't share personal information, because a group discussion is not a platform to discuss personal discussion. You have to be assertive. You have to take your chances, because in a group discussion, it's all about getting that opportunity to take the spotlight and put your points across. Conclusion and summarization are also very important. When you think about the continuity of a group discussion, speak something different from what others have spoken, or expand, synthesize, and analyze their ideas. Write down your points when you get to the topic of group discussion, simply because this will give you that much more of flavor when it comes to you wanting to put your points across as well. When you speak, you may also mention about your observations on what others have spoken. Quoting the latest data, facts, figures, and information is always useful. We went on to speak about the importance of the role of communication skills. And it is very evident that an effective communication is a vital key to a successful group discussion. Remember, you're not the only one speaking in the group. There are other participants as well, and they are also vying for the limelight just like you. There are a lot of do's and don'ts when it comes to a group discussion. Some of the do's are: you must introduce yourself to the group. Take your seat as directed by the interviewer and sit attentively. Listen carefully to the topic or anything that is being discussed. Always carry a piece of paper and pencil to note important points down. Conceptualize your approach and ideas by jotting down a few points. Once you're ready, take the lead to speak first, provided that no other candidate has already begun talking. If you get the chance to begin first, always ask permission to the chair and the group. Be brief and analytical in whatever you say, and during the discussion, maintain good body language. Also, keep in mind that it is best to speak for a short while at first. Then, after some of the others have spoken, you can add some more of your critical points. Allow others to speak without any interruption. Try to exhibit your leadership quality by taking the lead in settling a point under discussion. Exhibit your team spirit by cooperating with others during the discussion. Be ready to summarize the main discussed points in your own words at the end. Now, just as much as there are important do's, there are a lot of don'ts, things you don't want to do when it comes to a group discussion. One of which is your body language, posture, how you sit at the table. It is preferred that you sit straight and comfortable. Look at each of the members of the panel. Avoid cross-talk or whispering amongst yourselves. It is not a good idea to repeat exactly what another candidate has already said, and keeping quiet will not help you at all when it comes to a group discussion. Avoid arguments. Don't cut short or interrupt anyone. It is not a good idea to say, I agree with him and leave it at that. You must have your own views as well. Don't try to dominate any discussion either. Don't stray away from the core issue. Don't get angry or agitated. Don't make any personal attack or remark. Don't try to add any new points of your own during summarizing. Don't show any sign of indifference even if the discussion has not gone the way you wanted it to be, and avoid anything which is controversial. A very important skill in group discussion is your listening abilities. So ensure that you are a good listener, and it will help you notice flaws in what others speak. It will help you comprehend what the other team members speak. It keeps you aware and alert. And if you listen, the good thing is the team will listen to you. Work on paraphrasing. Read and make notes. Carefully read the text that you want to paraphrase. Put the text into your own words. Get a general idea of the original. Make notes. Write your summary. Now, it is quite natural that you would want to know what could be some of the criteria for selection, and this is very important. So please take note. The first point is a person who expresses his ideas well. This is a very important criteria. The person with sound justification and demonstrates keenness and interest. The person who has sufficient knowledge of the subject and is able to convince others. The person who applies a logical and systematic approach. The person who has a positive attitude and is also assertive. And most importantly, the person that is the one who has the tendency to cooperate and coordinate within the entire group. I also went on to share a lot of very popular topics that you could practice. Apart from the 12 topics I have shared, it is a good idea for you to also have additional topics that you can keep sharing with the rest of your family members, because practice makes the man perfect. Keep that in mind. So that was a quick recap of the very important topic of group discussion. We will now move on to the final part of this module. Hence, coming to the end of this module, I would like to share what are some of the key outcomes of a group discussion session. Number one, this helps you strengthen your communication skills. Number two, it augments critical thinking, because unless you are able to think out of the box, you will not really be able to contribute. It widens horizons of knowledge. Interactive abilities improve. Decision making is greatly improved. And the capacity for decision making is augmented greatly. Makes you a winner when it comes to the group discussion. So from me, the 5 tips for success, and trust me, if you can take these seriously, this is really going to work for you. Take mock GDs as often as possible. Help people assist you in terms of preparing for mock GDs. Improve your communication skill in general, because that is a basic platform on which you will be able to present yourself. Focus on current affairs and enhance knowledge on diverse topics. The more you know about the multiple opportunities that you have in terms of the variety of topics, the better it would place you when it comes to a discussion table. Work on listening skills, because in a group discussion, you need to be a great listener as well. Learn to maintain a calm temperament. There will be many situations where you will be rushed and pushed into losing your temper, but learn to stay calm. A good discussion increases the dimensions of everyone who takes part. And this has been said rightly by a great person. So this is something which I would like to leave you with. I am Grace Arun on the Acelot Academy platform. Thank you for being a part of this program, and I request you that each and every one of you, when you have your free time, do think through each of the pertinent points that were discussed today and help it make yourself a way better version of what you already are. Thank you and best wishes to all of you.